And so it's like a research assistant, and you send it off and you say, go look at this stuff and tell me what you think. And it tries this and looks there and looks this, and it finds out. And I mean, I always think of it as if I wanted to buy some tires for my car, and I say to the thing, go buy some tires. Well, it knows what kind of car I've got. It knows what the tires on the car. It goes off and works its way around and does all this stuff, and it comes back and says, well, here's the best deal right here. And you say, okay, well, go buy, I want those. And it goes and negotiates and gets the better. It's like a human being. Only they're really, but remember, we're working exponential curves here. We're not doing flat kind of projection things. We're doing exponential increases. Because when this happens, maybe in about 5 years or less than 5 years, you get things like this. Now think of this. Imagine 100,000 PhD level researchers focusing their total efforts on life extension and anti-aging. Imagine them working 24/7 with no distraction from grant proposals, office politics, or attractive coworkers. Tell me you're not going to solve some problems that you never could solve before, huh? And you do the same thing for education. Millions of highly competent, low-cost teachers available to people anywhere. I mean, you're into space where you have capabilities and you have problem solving that you could just never have thought about before. You couldn't even have imagined it before. It's like life before the web. How would you have thought about what that would be like? That's an important point, because we're walking ourselves into space that doesn't behave like what we know about, what it's been before. And we've got examples all around us. And we said, I've got this, iPhone I carry around. And God, it's amazing how it's changed my life because of it's got this integrated capabilities of all of these kinds of things. And how could I have 10 years ago even begin to have thought that you might have been able to do all of those kinds of things in a little thing this big? Let me tell you, where it's really happening is in biotechnology. And here's kind of the emblematic picture. This is the best picture I got, right? This is a jar full of fingers, right? Isn't this great? These are all fingers. See? These are all fingers. And there isn't a hand in here because this is the first humanoid polyfinger clones. This is the first jar full of cloned fingers. We have cloned and made these fingers. I mean, what? I mean, we're doing so many strange things in this space that it's just hard to get your head around it. You know what an inkjet printer, how it works, right? It runs. No. They're using inkjet printers to print human organs now. Instead of shooting the drops of ink, they take organic matter and shoot it down, and pile it on, and before you know, you've got a vein or whatever it is. I mean, making body parts out of inkjet printers. I mean, what kind of thing is this? I mean, they're doing all kinds of mixing and matching that really is weird. They're mixing animal parts and human parts together. They call them chimeras, right? This is a couple years old even. And here the Chinese scientists fused human cells with rabbit eggs. And then after 2 weeks, they destroyed them. And then you say to yourself, what's the next guy do? You know how science works? Do you think the next guys wait 2 weeks and then say, well, we better get rid of them too? No, they let them go. So where does this go? That's what they're going to do. In Minnesota, researchers at the Mayo Clinic had pigs with human blood flowing in their bodies. Not pig blood that you can use in humans, but human blood in pigs. And the coolest thing is down here, the Stanford University have an experiment. They're going to create a mouse with a human brain. Tell me what that looks like, huh? I mean, wow. What are we doing? We're messing with life in all kinds of ways. I mean, the day might come when you kind of flip your iPod out of your arm and you punch up. This is a cyborg. This is this is just Photoshop stuff. Don't get serious about this. But that's the idea. What you're doing is they're making artificial body parts they believe by about 2015 that science will be able to make artificial parts for every part of your body except for your brain and your central nervous system. Here's what they're doing already, and here's some more of the indication. So let me see. What about 2016? You got some guy that's got 85% artificial. What is he or she? I mean, what is it? Do you give them the same kind of rights as human beings? Do you treat them the same way? I mean, they're really strange. I mean, they're not really humans. I mean, kind of little. I mean, you're into space that we don't have any background. We don't know anything. All of our rules, all of our values, all of our laws, all of our stuff all comes from the past. And you're now into space where it all changes, and you're trying to use these rules from the past that are a different world, a different time. It doesn't work the same way. It's kind of like stem cells, huh? Remember stem cells? Remember when this administration said, oh, no, we're not going to do stem cells. And 2 weeks later, my friends in Singapore raised their hands and said, yeah, sure, come on over here, we'll do them. They built this big bioplex over there and invited the best scientists in the world over to do stem cells. And now, what, 3 years later or so, they find out, oh, they don't need embryos for stem cells. They can make it out of a couple of pieces of thing from off of your fingernail. And now the rules all changed. Here, you thought it was an ethical issue, and now it really isn't an ethical issue, and you've made your decision based upon past, and the world has changed. You ride this exponential curve when everything is changing big time really fast, and you don't have the basis from which to be able to effectively deal with these kinds of things. It just generates all kinds of problems. I mean, you've got things like people trying to make babies with, they can't do it the regular way, and so they do in vitro fertilization. You know what that is? Where they get the sperm and they get the egg separately, and they take it into some clinic and they put them in a petri dish and stir them up in some kind of way, and then they replant them and you get a baby, right? Yeah, but there's problems, but they got so many people coming to do this that they screw up. I don't know, that's the wrong word to use. They make mistakes in the clinics, and you get a baby and you look at the baby and say, that is not my baby. That came from somebody. So you know what they're doing? They're putting barcodes on sperms and eggs and embryos. It's like going to the supermarket and you're wandering, these little things running around, trying to keep track of which is the right one and which is the wrong one and so on. I mean, you got a problem. They're the place now where technology has figured out how you can produce a kid without a man. You can fertilize eggs without sperm. Now, I mean, shoot. Some of you women may like that idea. But, I mean, wow. Think about it. I mean, what kind of a thing is that? I mean, for all of life as we know it, you've always had to kind of go through this process, to get a kid. Now you're off being able to manipulate and do things that are really quite different. So we're duplicating and changing all kinds of every form of life. We're cloning animals. Here's funny side who won the Kentucky Derby in the Preakness in 2003, and the poor horse had been gelded, and so when he got all famous, and they couldn't put it out to stud, so they got this horse that's won all of these things, and they can't make any money out of it. What are they going to do? They're going to clone it. So they're going to make more and more. So here's the first cloned pony, the first cloned horse. This is Royal Blue Boone. This is the clone from this horse. This is Royal Blue Boone 2, T-O-O. And so that's the first cloned horse. There's the first cloned kitty. Here's the first cloned dog, this one here. This is the father, this is the mother over here. Yeah, I mean, they're cloning and changing everything, and they're working on kids. There's always already some weirdo group somewhere out, literally, that's trying to clone kids. And everybody knows that when you do research and surveys, that parents want certain kind of genders and certain kind of things and so on. And so who knows that, in 25 years, you go to Amazon and you get a bouncing baby boy for about $300, And ways they deliver in it's 12 pounds and it delivers in, a couple days. I don't know.